What a night in Philadelphia. What a win. And the more it marinates, the more it sinks in that this victory over the Los Angeles Rams wasn't just impressive. It was the kind of game that could define a season. I'm not in the studio. I'm out under the ring light with my home setup. I'm sitting on my couch, completely drained after being live for over 8 hours. But I had to get back on the mic because there's too much to unpack about what the Eagles just did. This isn't just another win. It's a statement, a gut check, and one of those moments where you realize this team might be built for something special. Let's start right there. The Eagles pulled off an absolute comeback masterpiece against one of the most talented teams in the NFL in a hostile environment, against a squad that had this game circled since the schedule dropped. The Rams wanted this one bad. You could feel it in their energy, in the way they promoted this matchup like it was a playoff game. And yet, when the lights got brightest, it was the Eagles who showed their championship pedigree. That's not luck. That's not fluke. That's culture. That's resilience. That's a football team that just refuses to quit. Nick Sirianni says it all the time, fight, fight, fight. And you see on the field, you see it in every huddle, every possession, every snap. This is a team that never panics, never folds, never gets overwhelmed by the moment. There's something dangerous about a group that just keeps throwing haymakers no matter what. And that's exactly what this Eagles team did. Down early, getting punched in the mouth on the ropes in front of a fired-up Rams crowd, they just kept swinging. They kept believing. And eventually, they landed the knockout punch. We talk a lot about the intangibles in football: grit, character, toughness. And sometimes it sounds cliché. But not with this squad. Not when you watch what they did today. This game was everything that defines what the modern Eagles have become under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. It's a team that's built like a boa constrictor. They might not always start fast. They might let you think you've got them figured out. But then they slowly, methodically wear you down. They tighten the grip. And before you know it, you can't breathe. This was supposed to be the Rams' chance. They came into this matchup thinking they could finally get that signature win against the Eagles. But Philadelphia flipped the script. 26 unanswered points. A comeback that felt straight out of a movie. And it wasn't just the scoreboard. It was the way it happened. The energy, the momentum swings, the sideline reactions. Nick Sirianni running down the field to celebrate. Players losing their minds. Fans in Lincoln Financial Field losing their voices. It had all the energy of that 61-yard Jake Elliott walk-off field goal back in 2017. That same electricity, that same feeling that something special was starting to take shape. And let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Because if you still had doubts, if you were one of those people chirping on social media, calling him a system guy or a glorified runner, you got silenced today. In fact, Jalen Hurts probably shut a lot of people up tonight. And he did it with the kind of performance that great quarterbacks are made of. At halftime, this offense wasn't doing much. It was clunky. It lacked rhythm. And then Hurts goes to his coaches and says, "Put it on me." That's leadership. That's what elite looks like. They let him cook. And from that moment on, the Eagles' offense turned into something else entirely. Hurts was decisive. He was confident. He pushed the ball downfield. He trusted his guys. And the play calling finally matched the talent. No more vanilla, predictable sets. No more timid checkdowns. Just straight-up attacking football. And once they unleashed the passing game, everything else opened up. The Rams didn't have answers. They were backpedaling. They were guessing. And the Eagles were suddenly playing like the best offense in the league. You want numbers? How about this? After halftime, Hurts went 16 of 22 for 204 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a quarterback rating just shy of 141. That's elite-level stuff. That's MVP-level stuff. That's the kind of game that reminds everyone why this guy was in the MVP conversation in 2022 and why, if he stays healthy, he'll be right back in it this year. The casuals won't admit it, but Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in football. And when a moment demanded greatness, he delivered. Let's give flowers to A.J. Brown, too. Every time he gets involved, good things happen. It's that simple. The one-handed catch, filthy. The yards after contact, grown man football. That touchdown, big boy stuff. And when this offense starts getting the ball in his hands consistently, you can feel the momentum shift. He's a hybrid of Terrell Owens and Julio Jones, a threat from goal line to goal line, someone who can change a game in one play. And when Brown gets rolling, everything else falls into place. Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, all of them made plays. And the beauty of it is that this wasn't just one guy taking over. It was a complete offensive effort. Everyone got involved. The Eagles spread it out, used their depth, and punished the Rams in every area of the field. And all of that was possible because of Jalen Hurts and the shift in offensive philosophy after halftime. They stopped playing not to lose. They started playing to win. Even the run game started to get going. And when you have a passing game firing on all cylinders, that opens lanes for your running backs. It gives your offensive line room to operate. And while that O-line still needs to play better, Landon Dickerson in particular has to clean things up. This was a step in the right direction. If they can get back to that physical, punishing style we saw last season, this offense becomes nearly impossible to stop. And I have to give love to the defense too. Because while the offense took the spotlight, the defense quietly held things together when the game could have gotten out of hand. The Rams had chances to pull away early, and the Eagles kept forcing field goals. That matters. Those are winning plays. They bent, but they didn't break. And they gave the offense just enough breathing room to find its rhythm. That's complementary football. That's how you survive tough games on the road against talented teams. And how about Jordan Davis? My goodness. This man is becoming a monster before our eyes. Coming out of Georgia, there were questions about whether he could be an every-down player. He wasn't in great shape early in his career, but something clicked last year. He slimmed down. He bought in. And now, he's dominating. He's getting to the quarterback. He's blowing up running plays. He's even blocking field goals and taking them to the house. That's a season-altering type of impact. And when you pair him with Jalen Carter on that defensive front, you're talking about a duo that can wreck entire game plans for years to come. That field goal return, 61 yards, hitting nearly 17 miles per hour at that size. That's insane. That's not normal. And it's the kind of play that swings games. It's the kind of play that changes seasons. That's the level Davis is operating at right now. And he deserves his flowers. High-character guy, freak athlete, and someone the Eagles can build around on defense. There's so much more to talk about. The play calling, the pressure on Matthew Stafford, the resilience after giving up early scores. But this game really boils down to belief. Belief in the system. Belief in the culture. Belief in your quarterback. Belief in each other. And that's what the Eagles showed tonight. When everyone else started to doubt, when the social media trolls started sharpening their knives, when the narrative was shifting against them, they answered with the loudest statement possible. And what makes this one even more meaningful is not just how the Eagles came back, but who they came back against and how much was on the line emotionally. The Rams weren't just another opponent on the schedule. They were locked in. They had this one circled. They'd spent the week hyping it up like it was a playoff game. Their players were talking with urgency. Their social media team was cranking out playoff-style promos. They treated this like a must-win, like a measuring stick. And yet, even with all of that emotion, even with the early success they had, even with the home crowd fired up and everything going their way early on, they couldn't close the deal. Why? Because the Eagles broke their will. Because Philadelphia's culture is built to outlast you, even when you start fast. And when a moment shifted, when the Eagles punched back, the Rams didn't have an answer. Over the last 12 games, the Rams are unbeaten against the rest of the NFL, but they're 0-3 against the Eagles. That's not coincidence. That's not random. That's a matchup problem. That's the Eagles being built in a way that causes specific teams massive problems. And the scary part is, even though Philly hasn't played its best overall football yet this season, they're sitting undefeated, and they just delivered their biggest win so far by far. That tells you something. That tells you the ceiling is still way higher than what we've seen. And that's got to be terrifying for the rest of the NFC. And speaking of the NFC, let's not overlook the bigger picture. The Cowboys lost. The Giants are on the verge of going winless. The Commanders snuck out a win with Marcus Mariota stepping in. And suddenly, the Eagles are sitting pretty atop the NFC East, undefeated at 3-0, while the rest of the division is either stumbling or barely hanging on. The margin for error in this league is razor thin, and the Eagles are already banking wins while still figuring things out. That's the difference between good teams and great ones. Great teams stack wins even when they're not at their best. Great teams find a way when the script isn't going their way. That's what the Eagles are doing right now. And let's get back to Jalen Hurts for a moment, because there's a bigger message here. The criticism over the past couple of weeks has been loud, and in many cases, completely ignorant. The talking points have been lazy. He can't throw. He's a system guy. He's only good because of the tush-push. All of it just nonsense. And yet, it spread. The social media trolls were out in full force. People were lining up, ready to take their shots. And you could feel it, especially in that first half. The critics were warming up. They had their clips. They had their tweets drafted. They were just waiting for the final whistle to drop the hammer on Hurts. But then he flipped the entire narrative in 2 quarters. Completely shut them down. Made them look foolish. And it wasn't just the stats, although those were incredible. It was how he did it. It was the command, the poise, the ability to make big throws in big moments, the ability to read the field and stay calm under pressure. You want to talk about elite? That's elite. You want to talk about franchise quarterback material? That's what it looks like. Hurts doesn't need to be flashy. He doesn't need to scream or beat his chest. He just leads. He makes plays. And when a moment calls for greatness, he delivers. The discourse this week is going to be a lot quieter. The haters won't have much to say now, because all of those he can't throw narratives got torched in real time. 7 of 9 on throws, over 10 air yards in the second half alone, for over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not a runner pretending to be a passer. That's not a game manager. That's a top-tier quarterback taking over a football game and reminding everyone who he is. And again, this wasn't just about the numbers. It was about the attitude, the mindset. Hurts went to his coaches and asked for the keys. Let me cook. He didn't shy away from the pressure. He embraced it, and the team responded. That's what real leadership looks like. And when your franchise quarterback plays like that, it lifts everyone. It raises the floor of the entire team. And that's exactly what we saw. Also, Kevin Patullo and the offensive staff finally opened things up. This is a team loaded with offensive talent. You got A.J. Brown. You got Devonta Smith. You've got Dallas Goedert. You've got Saquon Barkley. There's no excuse to be running a vanilla, overly conservative offense. You have to trust your weapons. You have to put pressure on defenses. And finally, in that second half, they did. They spread the field. They created mismatches. They went to their playmakers and let them work. And it changed the entire feel of the game. And honestly, even if they had lost this game, the offensive performance in that second half would have still been something to build on. Because that's the version of the Eagles' offense that can go deep in the playoffs. That's the version that can dominate even elite defenses. And remember, the Rams came into this game with the #1 defense in the league. This wasn't some bottom-tier group that the Eagles shredded. This was the best statistical defense in football, and the Eagles lit them up in the second half. That matters. That's a sign of what's possible when you let this offense breathe, when you stop holding it back. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling through the NFL world after Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni made a cryptic comment that has left fans and insiders buzzing. Speaking candidly after a recent practice, Sirianni reportedly said about quarterback Tanner McKee, "He doesn't play with me anymore." While the statement was brief, its implications have sparked a storm of speculation about the future of the young quarterback in Philadelphia. McKee, a promising talent who had been seen as a potential backup with a chance to grow into a more prominent role, suddenly finds himself at the center of one of the league's more puzzling narratives. Sources close to the team suggest that there have been internal tensions regarding the direction of the quarterback room, and McKee's development might not be aligning with Sirianni's vision. The coach, known for his decisive approach and clear expectations, may be signaling that a separation, whether temporary or permanent, is imminent. The timing of the statement only fuels the rumor mill. With the regular season approaching and the Eagles juggling questions about their starting quarterback and depth chart, fans are left wondering whether McKee could be on the trading block or facing a reduced role that could hinder his on-field experience. Some analysts suggest that this move could also be strategic, a way for Sirianni to send a message to the roster or to nudge McKee into improving certain aspects of his game before being fully trusted in live action. Meanwhile, McKee himself has remained tight-lipped, offering only polite but guarded responses when asked about the future. Teammates reportedly remain supportive, but the locker room dynamics could be subtly shifting, adding another layer to the speculation. If McKee does leave, either through a trade or some other arrangement, the ripple effects across the NFL could be significant. Young quarterbacks with promise rarely come to market without generating interest, and the Eagles may soon find themselves fielding calls from teams eager to scoop up a talent that could be just on the cusp of breaking out. For now, the league watches closely, and fans debate endlessly online. Is this a genuine fracture between coach and player, or just a dramatic spur-of-the-moment comment destined to fade? One thing is clear. Tanner McKee's next move will be among the most intriguing storylines of the season, and Nick Sirianni's blunt remark has set the stage for a narrative that could shape the Eagles' future in unexpected ways. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.